It is May 4th, 2026 when this video is going to be posted, guys. So that means, guess what? It's the final 7 days of my 90-day transformation challenge. And this past week has reminded me of something I needed to hear, which is you don't need to be perfect because there's no such thing as perfect conditions, right? All you need is what in life? Commitment. Write that one down. Hey guys, welcome back to my weekly transformation recap where I break down what has happened the last 7 days, what it's taught me in my heart, my health, and my hustle. If you didn't know, I'm in a 90-day fitness transformation challenge, but it is the last week. And guys, this week has been a lot. Let me know if you can relate, put it in the comments. First of all, I normally live in Phoenix, but I'm back home in my hometown, Shoreline, Washington, for the first time in a long time. And so let's start with my heart lesson, right? As I mentioned, being here in Seattle, getting to spend time, quality time with my family, namely my parents. And I'm going to have a vulnerable moment with you guys because as a busy entrepreneur, this was the first time since I became an entrepreneur that I have truly slowed down. Can you relate? That means no Zoom calls packed into my schedule, which was historically what would happen. No networking events, which is usually what I would have done. No chasing that next call, that next thing. It was just been about being present with my parents. And another big win that I want to celebrate, because if you know anything about me and my family, we are foodies. And not once did we go out and eat. Okay. So me specifically, they did have their little Costco thing, which I'll get into in a second. But we as a family didn't go out to eat. So it's been home cooked meals and for the most part, staying on my nutrition plan. And so that has been a huge lifestyle change. Talk about the savings right there. And when it came to hanging out, instead of, sitting at a restaurant together, what did we do instead? Well, we hung out at the dining table. We walked outside. We actually got to walk around the University of Washington campus, my alma mater, and we just spent time together. And that's what made me realize how much of life we build around doing something when sometimes it's more about the being. Let me know if you can relate. And you want to know what one of the highlights of this trip has been? We actually made a run to Portland, Oregon to see my brother and his kids. And it'd been, a couple of years, so they are all grown up. We actually got to meet Goldie, which is their hen. And shout out to my nephew, Devon, actually picking her up. I was like, yeah, I'll let you hold her and show me how it's done. But just watching him and his courage and picking her right up like it's nothing. And then she lays eggs. I was like, okay, I need to get myself a chicken. Do you have a chicken that lays eggs? If you do, any tips? I mean, obviously living in Phoenix, there's going to have to be special breeds and probably I need to get a coop, but I've been researching what that entails to have a chicken that lays eggs. And so on top of that, I'm also I want to start gardening. That's something else that I learned being at my brother's in Portland, and I'm excited at the prospect of gardening. And so that moment reminded me why it's so important to be present with our family because there's so much we can glean from them, right? Knowledge. And these are moments that you can never get back. Now, of course, being the high achiever that I am, I still snuck work in a couple of pockets, nooks and crannies of my schedule, but nothing compared to my usual that I do back home in Phoenix. Now, me and my dad got to spend some quality time together too. We got to work out, which was more of just going on walks outside. He actually walked me to and from the Shoreline Rec Center. And so it's been my goal to hit 15,000 steps, but honestly, it's been a little bit under. It's been more than 10,000 on average, which is definitely my minimum goal. And so on these walks, my dad's been quick to share a lot of his wisdom and his insights. He's a published author, in case you didn't know. And that time spent together has been priceless. No business win could compare to that. So, at the end of the day, at the end of our life, we're not going to lay there on our deathbed wishing that we worked more. At least I'm not going to be. So these are moments that I really cherish. Now, something I shared last week that has still been coming up over and over again that I want to reshare in case you didn't catch it last time is, you ready for it? Your body is your resume. Your body is your resume. It is the secret confession of your character and your relationship with your word. Ooh, let that sink in. Because the way that you do one thing, you've heard this one, I'm sure, is the way that you do everything. Now, something that I thought of as I was reflecting on this on my walk back from the gym today is when we are born, our health is the original asset that we are born with. But you know what most people do? They squander it. And so master your mind, body, and soul, and you get to master everything else. How can you master money, finances, business, and you don't even have your own health, mindset, or your soul mastered, your faith, right? That makes no sense to me. So let's start it at the root. Speaking of, that's the next lesson that I want to talk about is health. Okay, so on the health side, guys, I'm about 15 pounds down from where I started back on February 15th. I weighed in at 143 pounds. Now I am up a little bit. It's just shy of 20 pounds lost, but I am up a little bit this week. Even though we haven't eaten out since February 14th, me personally, that is a huge win that I'm celebrating. I don't want to rush past that because, guys, if you knew, man, I'm a foodie. But as of today, I am at 128.8. So that means that I went up a little bit. My lowest so far has been 127 pounds. And honestly, I get to own it because I transparently went over on my macros a few of those days there. Now, I have still been in a calorie deficit, so I'm celebrating myself there. I've also said no to a lot of trigger foods or even going out. And still, I know why I'm not at my goal, right? But I get to own that. So, of course, I feel frustrated and disappointed, but at the same time, I'm giving myself grace and celebrating, choosing to see the glass half full because mistakes happen. I wouldn't even call this a mistake, a learning opportunity. It's a misstep. Okay, where now today I get to realign because guess what? It ain't over till it's over. So even though I went up on my macros, with me saying no to historical triggers, making more aligned choices, that is where the win is that I choose to see. And so the biggest takeaway for me has been the value in working with a coach. Hiring a professional has stopped me from deviating from the course. And even as I step into a professional coaching role, guess what? It's more important than ever that I, as a coach, have a coach. Okay, because you want to prevent yourself from throwing the baby out with the bathwater. In the past, had I, been on track and then fallen off, guess what I would have wanted to do? Binge eat, right? But because I'm accountable, I said, you know what? Let me recognize where I went and I'm going to stop it right there. I'm going to nip it in the bud. Okay, so in the past, I know I would have binge eaten at that point. And so life is lifing. Let me know if you can relate. Drop a life is lifing in the comments. But I'm over here, I'm just jamming right along with it because that's all we can do at the end of the day. We get to enjoy every moment. And so again, as I've said numerous times, progress is not a straight line. It is a topsy-turvy roller coaster. And you get to just hang on for dear life. Now, before I move on to the next segment, guys, I do want to talk about environment. It's pretty obvious how important your environment is, but especially when it comes to your health and your fitness, obviously your mindset. This week was a reminder on how you do become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Okay. So as we know the importance of environment, whenever you've tried to change your style of eating, why do people tell you to throw all those trigger foods away? Because your discipline, your willpower can only go so far. Now, as I shared during the road trip, my parents decided to pick up pizza for my nephew, for my niece and nephew's Costco pizza. And guys, Costco pizza, let me just say that right there, right? But it wasn't just Costco pizza, it was even Sundays. But guys, that took so much willpower. I literally had to physically remove myself from being around them as I ate it because why put myself to that torture, right? I literally had to get away from them. And that's okay. Because guess what, guys? This is temporary. This is me choosing myself, my goal. It's only 7 days left. And it doesn't mean I'm never going to eat a Costco pizza ever again. It just means right now, it doesn't take me to where I want to get to. And so reminding yourself that, hey, it's a temporary season, that you get to choose your goal, whatever the payoff and the result is that you want. And so willpower, it is a finite resource. And like the saying goes, if you hang out in a barbershop long enough, guess what? You're going to get a haircut. And so I encourage you to design your environment, including the people you surround yourself with. If you are wanting to make significant changes in your life, whether that's fitness, health, or whatever, you get to, even if it's just one thing, change that one thing. So that way you don't have to just rely on willpower. Write that one down. Ooh, speaking of health, let's talk about sleep and recovery. So what's really interesting is the past week and a half, I've been going to bed super late. Since volunteering for PSI seminars a few weeks ago, my sleep schedule has been super late, and therefore I haven't been waking up as early as I had been, which was on my mind. But I am giving myself grace, getting to spend some time with my mom, who is a night owl. I actually have been getting super quality deep sleep because I track my sleep up to 4 hours every night. And even though I'm going to bed late, sometimes waking up late, that's pretty great. And so, in spite of that, guess what? Last night, instead of going to bed at 1, 2, or 3 in the morning like I had been the previous nights, I actually went to bed at 12:55 a.m. and I woke up naturally at 4:50 in the morning, feeling super rested, ready to take on the day. So I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and get out of bed and start my morning rituals. So I'd have my affirmation practice, did some journaling, and had some breakfast. And I went straight to the gym because when you're in a calorie deficit, first thing in the morning is always better than later in the day. And so, guys, I had such a productive day as a result of that. So I'm super proud of myself, inching by inch back to an earlier bedtime and an earlier wake up time. And as far as getting my workouts in while I'm here in Shoreline, in case you didn't know, shout out to the Spartan Gym in the Rec Center that's in the Shoreline Community Center. They've actually started recognizing me and commending me for coming in so regularly. And I'm like, oh, I haven't even been working out that hard, but they're like, you're here all the time. I'm like, great. So that there goes to show commitment, right? Which is not as common as you'd think. So being in a calorie deficit, I've noticed how valuable it is to have these early morning workouts. So that is my commitment. Getting to bed earlier and waking up earlier. All right, guys, now for the final push. Okay. As I said, this is the final stretch, the last 7 days of my 90-day fitness transformation challenge. And I don't know if I'm going to hit the full visible 6-pack abs by May 10th or not. But guess what, guys? It ain't over till it's over. I'm much closer today than I was when I started. And hey, I'm going to do everything in my power to finish strong. And so even though, realistically, probably I won't hit it, but that's okay. I'm giving it all that I got, getting as close as I can. Right. In fact, I'm even adding in one of my old go-tos. Have you ever done P90X? Tony Horton P90X, his Ab Ripper X circuit workout. It's like 15 minutes. I did that the other day for the first time in ages, and it's challenging. So I'm going to be doing that after my workouts 3 to 4 times a week after my ab resistance training. So I'm still going to be doing that as well because I figure, hey, I want to make sure that I did everything in my power to get to where I want to get to. And so speaking of, shout out to my coach, Evan, who has helped me the past 90 days. He's been phenomenal. And then going forward for the recovery, I'm going to get to work with Coach Fran, which I'm excited because she and I have very similar businesses and the types of clientele that she work with, as you guys know, me being in health and wellness. And so I'm really excited. And if you're watching this, Fran, hopefully we get to do a collaborative YouTube video sometime. Shameless plug. But anyways, guys, real quick before I wrap it up here, talking about the hustle piece, right? The business side, as I mentioned before, was not my usual business and networking and all the things I typically do when I'm home, right? Like all the BNI chapters I was going to visit. I said, you know what? If I go ahead and do that, it's going to take me away from the reason why I came in the first place, because I just know how it is. It gets busy. You want to do these one-on-ones. So I said, you know what? I came here to spend time with my family. I can always do phone calls or Zoom calls if it's really important to connect with this person. So that's why I'm here. Okay. The alternative would have been what I've done in the past is kind of just be a zombie and on Zoom all day and kind of a shell, not really there because I'm glued to the phone on phone calls and on Zooms. And I just wasn't ready for that. I didn't want that right now, right? And so, not to say there's a time and a place for that, but guys, I came here to spend time with the family. So guess that's what I'm gonna do. So again, getting to surrender to being present with them. And I really chose presence over that pressure. And so some people may not agree with me there, but guess what? That you do you, I'm going to do me. Working is still important. So naturally, I had those pockets of work that I structured into my schedule, but faith and family come first. So speaking of faith, in this new program that I'm in, I had the challenge to do a pop-up Zoom. I was going to put it off to next Thursday because that's when I was going to be back home in Phoenix and settled in. And then I got coaching and reminded that money loves what? Money loves speed. So guess what? The action takers are always the money makers. And so that's what I decided to do. And it was on the way back from Portland, Oregon. Here I am thinking, oh, I'm going to be back by 5:30. I scheduled this pop-up Zoom at 7. And lo and behold, traffic prevents us and we are stuck on the road. I call up my friend for reinforcements. Thank goodness she was able to hop on, share her screen for me. And we did the Zoom as planned. Totally messy, but we did it anyway. And that was the whole point. And so I want to acknowledge myself for doing it anyway. And hopefully that inspires you into massive, messy action, which builds what? Momentum. Because don't forget, money loves speed. So guys, as I wrap up this recap today, the time that you're watching this, hopefully if it's Monday, May 4th still, it is not too late. If you want to gain access to the 30-day Money Mayhem challenge that I'm hosting to move the needle on one area of your life, if that's fitness, finance, business, whatever it is, you want to have someone help hold your feet to the fire. You already know what to do. You've got the workout plan, the meal plan, you've got the business, whatever it is, but you want someone to have their neck on the line for your goal also and help you really bridge the gap, then this might be a program for you. Okay, so this is the first challenge that I'm going to be hosting. And hey, if I'm not for you, that's okay, because I'm not everyone's cup of tea, but I encourage you to gain support from somebody. Anything I've learned is even coaches need coaches. Maybe you are always busy taking care of other people. This gets to be the time that you take care of who? You. Okay, so I challenge you to reach out so that way the next 30 days does not look like the last 30 days. Okay, guys. So anyways, if you would like to be kept informed on future challenges that I may host, let me know. Drop a note in the comments. And guys, as always, keep on trucking. You get to just be the best you can, even if it means it starts as messy. So guys, make it a great day, and I will see you next week, hopefully with some visible apps. Again, welcome to my channel where transformation becomes a lifestyle.